Hello and welcome back to eCabinets Tips and Tricks. Today I would like to show you how I came up with the calculator to make it possible to just copy and paste this formula for our flutes into eCabinets Constraint Manager. And what I've done was I added our Flute Calculator to the Partition Calculator. So let me open this Partition Calculator. If you haven't viewed my video on how to create a partition calculator, be sure to check those videos out. What I done was I just added another sheet to my workbook here, and I named it Flute Calculator. So I'm going to click on that sheet, and what I have here is I have this little temporary table here that I made to help explain the formulas and how they work. What we have here is basically the formula that we need for our space width, and the formula we need to get the distance to the center line for the left and right flutes right here, and the distance to the center line for the mid flutes right here. And then when we get to this will actually be hard coded, so that all we have to do is right click copy and paste it into eCabinets Constraint Manager. The result that shows up here will be what we need to put in eCabinets. But first, let's get into how these formulas work. The space width, which is the distance between the actual flutes themselves after the cutter has made the cut. In this case, we're using a 1/2 inch diameter cutter for our flutes. And what this does is it takes B2 here, which is the part width, and subtracts it from the cutter diameter times the quantity of the flutes. In other words, it takes C2 here and multiplies it by the quantity of flutes, which is 1.5 inches. Then it subtracts this 1.5 inches from the part width, which would be this 1.5 inches, which is this 1.5 inches, wrong again, equals the part width minus this 1.5 inches, which is the result of C2 times D2. And in this case, it comes up with 1.5 inches. Then it takes this result. That's why we have a parenthesis here and another parenthesis back here. In other words, it does this math and stores it. Then it takes part width and subtracts this result from the part width. So it comes up with 1.5 inches. So then it takes this result here and divides it by the number of spaces. So that would be this divided by the number of spaces is 3/8. That is this formula right here. If you look up here in the formula bar, B2 minus C2 times D2 divided by D2. Now, the distance to the center line for the left and right flutes is simply the space width, okay, whatever this result is, which is this one right now, plus C2 divided by 2, which is actually the radius of the cutter. Okay, now the distance to the center line for the mid flutes is the space width, okay, the width that is left when the cutter actually does its job, plus the cutter diameter, not the radius. Then these right here is simply combining this one right here, the left and right flute cutter path, is actually combining this formula with this formula. Okay, and then this one is combining this formula with this formula. So with that being said, let's get our formulas up here in our actual calculator. As I said, the space width equals, and open parentheses, the part width minus, open parentheses, the cutter diameter times the quantity of flutes, and close parentheses and close parentheses. And then that is divided by the number of spaces you have. And just hit enter, and you got 0.375. Now notice I'm using decimals here, and that's because sometimes eCabinets does not like fractions if they're less than 1/32. So in this case I'm using decimals. Okay, now the distance to the center line for the left and right flutes, that would be the flute that is on the left side, left outermost side, and the flute that is on the right outermost side, okay, will be equal to the space width plus the cutter diameter divided by 2, which is the radius of the cutter. So it's actually space width plus the radius of this cutter. The distance to the center line for the mid flutes is equals the space width plus the actual radius, or the diameter of the cutter, which is 0.875 or 7/8 of an inch. Now this formula right here, this gets a little bit of can be a little bit confusing. What we're going to do is basically create a text string that we can copy into eCabinets in the Constraint Manager. But at the same time, this text string needs to have the actual cutter diameters, the quantity of flutes, etc. In that formula, in other words the cell references, so that if this changes to 3/8, for example, the result in the formula will show 3/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my equal sign, and in order to create a text string, any symbols in here, like your parentheses and your minus sign and your times sign, divide sign, all that needs to be surrounded by quotes. So I'm going to hit my quote, and I'm going to type in open parentheses, and instead of the cell reference for the part width, eCabinets wants the letter W, okay, which represents the width of the part. Then I'm going to hit minus and another open parentheses, then end quote. Okay, so now if I just hit enter, you'll see that it actually put what I typed in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I need to put this cell reference C2 in here. I want 1/2 of an inch, or 0.5 to show up right here. And I'm going to have to join that text string right here that we just created. So in order to do that, we use our ampersand. Okay, that will join that. So it's this and this cell reference right here, C2. Now I need another ampersand to join our next text string, which is going to be our times symbol here. So I need a quote and my times symbol and end quote and another ampersand. So it's W open parentheses, W minus open parentheses, and this cell result, and times, and let's see, this cell reference right here, D2, and my ampersand, and quote, and close parentheses, and close parentheses, and then my divide sign, and my ampersand. Oh, got my closed quotes right there, or end quote, then my ampersand, and E2, and then and my ampersand, and quote, and plus sign, end quote, and C2, which is the cutter diameter, and my and ampersand, and quote, and my divide sign, and I'm just going to type 2 in here and end quote, and that should work. Hit enter. See, now it's saying W minus 0.5, which is a ½ inch, times 3. Okay, that's, yeah, quantity of flutes. Okay, divided by 4 plus 0.5 divided by 2. Okay, so if we go back into eCabinets and we look at this, we will see that we have width minus 1/2 divided by 4 plus 1/4. So I click on edit, and I click on this, and go back in here, and I right click, click copy. I'm going to test this out now to make sure it works. Highlight this, right click, and you should see the exact same thing there. Paste and hit enter, and that's exactly what it is, identical right there. That's what eCabinets needs to keep these lines constrained based on the width of the part and the cutter diameter and the number of spaces that you have between each flute. So let's go back into Excel here and continue on with our next one. So this one right here is basically identical to this, except we're not dividing the cutter diameter by 2. We're actually, instead of using the radius, we're using the actual diameter. So let's type our equal sign, and a quote, open parentheses, W minus, open parentheses, end quote, ampersand, and this cell reference right here, C2, and quote, times symbol, end quote, ampersand, and D2, and ampersand, and quote, close parentheses, divide, end quote, and ampersand, and the quantity of spaces here, E2, and ampersand, and quote, and plus sign, and end quote, and ampersand again, and cell reference C2, and enter. So now we have the width of the part minus 0.5 times the quantity of flutes, which is 3, divided by the quantity of spaces plus the cutter diameter, which is 1/2 inch. So if I right click, click copy, go back into Excel, or eCabinets, I'm sorry, and click on edit, this one right here should have the exact same result, and paste, copy and paste, hit enter, and as you can see, that's working just fine. So with that being said, we no longer need this right here, so I'm just going to delete it and get rid of my formatting here, no fill, no borders, and I can play around with this a little bit. You can format this however you want. I'm going to put all borders, and I'm going to put a thick border here, and a thick border around the whole thing. And I can make these bold if I want. And let's put some fill in here so we know these are the formulas that we want to copy. Now, as you can see, if you watched my video on the Partition Calculator, we used VBA to create our openings for centering the partition, and aligning left and aligning right. In this case, we don't need any VBA. We're using, you can do this with VBA if you wish. And if you would like to see that, just let me know, and I can show you how it's done in VBA. But there's really no need in it because we got an actual formula in here. The only thing that you got to be careful about is the fact that these are actual formulas, and if you delete them, any of these cells that has the formulas in it, then your formulas are basically gone. You can, by using protection, protect these formulas here so that they don't actually accidentally get deleted. Or you can even record a macro so that if you wanted to reset this, it would only clear out these right here. So let's see what we can do. Let's see. Format, protect sheet. Okay. Lock cell. Data. We can protect. I don't do a whole lot of protection here, so all these cells are by default unlocked. So let's lock these cells right here. I may be wrong, but okay. So Additional formatting. Okay, all these cells are. What's going on here? What are these? So if we protect our sheet here, go to Protect Sheet, select Lock Cells, select Unlock Cells. Let's see what happens. I'll delete that. Protected sheet. Okay. Maybe that ain't such a good idea. Let's see. Format. Lock cell. Format cells. Okay. Let's do it like this. Format. Format cells. Protection. Percentages. Alignment. There should be. This cell contains a formula is not locked to protect it from being changed. Okay, so we need to unprotect. We need to lock these cells and unlock these cells. So go Format, Lock Cells. Okay. Number. As you can tell, I have not done this a whole lot. So let's go to Format and Protect Sheet. Select Lock Cells. Select Unlock Cells. And okay. I'll delete that. Okay, undo. And let me come in here and see if I can delete that. Okay, so it's not letting me delete that. It's not letting me delete that. It's not letting me delete that. And it's not letting me delete that. Or that. But can I copy? And yes, I can. Let's just see if I can paste it right down here. Paste. Okay. Let's see if I can paste it in the eCabinets then. Copy. And edit mode. Right click. Paste. And yes, we can. So we've got our sheet protected here. Let me go over that one more time and show you how I've done it. By default, all the cells are protected. So what you're going to want to do first before you protect your worksheet is come in here and select the cells that you want to be able to be deleted or whatever. So, and then you right click or you go to Format, Format Cells. Should be a protection. I thought there was a protection somewhere. Oh, right here, protection. Okay, see right now they're not locked. Okay, so let's see what these are. Let's see if these are locked. Right click, Format Cells, Protection. See, these are locked. So what you would do is to make sure that these cells are unlocked right here by right clicking and clicking Format Cells, Protection, making sure this is unlocked. Then you would come in here to the ones with your formulas in it and right click and Format Cells, and make sure that this is locked and select OK. Then you come right here under your Home tab and Format, and you click on Protect Sheet, and you want to be able to allow users of this worksheet to select locked cells and select unlocked cells. That's the only thing you want them to be able to do. And you click OK. You could put a password in there if you wanted to. Let's do that again. Protect Sheet. You could put a password in here. I don't usually do that, and like I said, I don't usually do a whole lot of protecting on my workbooks. If I want to control what the user can and can't do, usually I'll use VBA, which is very helpful. So as before, we can dress this up. We can hide these rows. I can hit Control, hold down my Shift key, hold down my Control Shift key, and go Excel down. Let's leave this row right here. Control Shift and down, which goes to the bottom of Excel. Right click and let's see, no, not right click, Format. It ain't done it. Let's see. Go Home. Click on here. Make sure that whole row is highlighted. Control, hold down my Control Shift and down, and right click and hide. So those rows are hidden, and we can do the same thing with our columns here. Let's just make this one smaller, and I'm going to click on this whole column, hold down my Control and my Shift and go all the way to the left or to the right of Excel, and right click and hide rows. Now we can turn off our grid lines. Go to View, hide our grid lines, and we can hide our headings. So now we have our calculator working here. Now if you want to unhide these rows, what you have to do, if you want to unhide the rows and the columns, is Control Shift over, down, and go to Format, Hide, Unhide, Columns. Did not do it. Okay, so we need to go back to View, and we need to turn our headings back on. Okay, now we got it. So if I hit Escape, see right here in this corner here, when you click on that, it's going to highlight your entire, every last row and column in Excel. You can unhide all your columns by right clicking in the column and unhide, or you can go to Home and Format and click on Unhide Rows in this case, so it unhid everything. And you can turn your grid lines back on if you want, or whatever. I just thought I'd throw that in there. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them on my channel. If there's anything else that you would like to see or whatever, let me know, and I'll do my best to help you out. As always, subscribe to my channel, get all the latest tips and tricks as I come up with them. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.